Hello, good day everyone, and welcome to this week's Inventor Make It Snappy series, where I'll be showcasing the sketch-driven pattern. You are here with Yashin from Modern 01 Solve, and let's dive into it. So the Inventor sketch-driven pattern is quite nice to replicate features in an unconventional method. So it's a pattern that you can't necessarily achieve using the rectangular or circular option. It requires a series of points to define the position of the feature that you'd like to create. And of course, these points can be positioned sporadically across your component. They can be positioned in relation to parameters, so they could adjust according to changes in a sketch defining the position of these points. So what we have on screen is an example of just that. So to perform a sketch driven pattern, the first thing you'll need is of course a sketch as well as some points defining the position of certain features. So in this example, what I have already created is a sketch. The sketch contains a couple of rectangles made as construction geometry, and where those rectangles intersect, points have been placed which will determine the position of features. So where they intersect as well as at their ends, standard points have been placed. So let's have a look at how these points adjust in position as I change some dimensions. So as I change the width of some of these rectangles, you'll notice that of course the points will adjust or change position too. This will include the length. So if I adjust the length, the position of those points will adjust. So it is quite a unconventional pattern. You would not be able to get this kind of pattern done through a rectangular or circular pattern. Okay, with that done, I'm just going to flex those points once again, just so we can see how the sketch behaves. Okay, so once you have your unconventional pattern created with a series of points defined, the next step is actually to create a feature. Okay, so what I'm going to do is start a new sketch on the top face of the circular plate and project one of those points that I've created previously as a reference to determine the start position of my feature, which in this case is just going to be a 2-point rectangle, 4 by 2 millimeters in size, and I'll just extrude that out maybe a distance of, let's say, around 5 millimeters, and done. Okay, so what I'd like to do with the sketch driven pattern is of course get this feature that I've created, extrusion 3, and position it on the rest of those corresponding points that were created in the pattern itself. So what's going to happen over here is the sketch itself is going to drive the position of this feature, okay, and create copied instances or additional occurrences of this. So I don't actually have to go create individual extrusions on each individual point. It's going to save a tremendous load of time. So to perform the sketch driven function, all I have to do is toggle the button sketch driven function from our ribbon. The tool palette or dialog box will appear, and I just need to define the features that I'd like to replicate. In this case, it's going to be extrusion 3 that I've just created, and you'll notice in the preview additional occurrences or instances have appeared, okay, and those instances are placed onto the corresponding points defined in the sketch, okay, or the sketch pattern. If you have a look, the total amount of points that was chosen is 12. It's automatically chose the sketch already. If it hasn't, we can select the placement button and just simply redefine or choose the sketch that drives the placement of our feature by heading over to our model browser. Once those choices have been made, I can simply select OK, and what you'll notice is that those features have been replicated onto the corresponding sketch points that were defined by sketch 2. A new feature is created for all the occurrences or copied items that have been created in the model browser. If I expand that, you'll notice the first occurrence will be the original, and all the other items will be the copied version. Now, if I'd like to make any adjustments to the position of these features, all I have to do is simply edit the initial sketch that was used to define the placement or position of those features, and I can change some of those parameters. Okay, as I'm changing the parameters, of course the points are adjusting, and we've created association between the feature and this particular sketch. So once I've applied my changes and processed that information, you'll notice the feature adapts according to those changes. Okay, so that simply defines how to use a sketch driven pattern, something that's very intelligent. Hope you enjoyed that short video session. Stay tuned to our YouTube channel for more content.